A three-member committee has submitted its findings to the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources on the APEATSE explosion, the ghastly disaster last month which claimed 14 lives, forced government to set up a fact-finding team to ascertain the veracity of reports surrounding the incident. Maxwell Agbagba was at APEATSE in the Western region a couple of days ago to speak to the motor rider believed to be the cause of the accident. There's more in the following report.
Friends of the motorbike rider hold his hand as he walks towards personnel of the Criminal Investigations Department who are seated waiting to interrogate him on what he knows about the crash which led to the explosion. The rider limping with his legs and arms bandaged. There are bruises visible on his left hand. He was later taken to the crash site and other details taken. Philip Mensah says, contrary to claims that he collided with a vehicle carrying explosives, he did not. The tricycle crossed the vehicle in front of me. The driver applied his brakes. I also did the same. Then another vehicle hit me from the back. I fell on the road and my motorbike also kept moving. I did not see the car that hit me from the rear because it was behind me. That was the point people rushed me to the hospital, he said. About 30 minutes later, as the medical team prepared to treat my wounds, we heard the explosion. All the nurses fled the hospital because they said there was fire. Later, they realized the facility wouldn't be affected. So I was not at the scene when the explosion happened. You can ask the nurses and the doctors on duty. I have no idea when the vehicle carrying the explosives crashed into my motorbike because I was rushed to the hospital in a taxi. It was another vehicle, not the vehicle carrying the explosives, he said with tears forming in his eyes.
Explosive car no beshia. No minim time a car no be beshia. Me moto because me no the top from na di in bia na boys ni free habaya. Mo dem beto taxi ni de me koi. But what am I saying? Aha. Car from the ball, any explosive car.
Philip Mensah says it has to know that his motorbike caused the explosion. I feel very bad. I'm human. We are all humans with different parents. Whether my family members are part of the dead or not, it hurts my soul. There's so much pain in my heart. People have varying accounts of what happened. Some are even saying I collided with a vehicle carrying explosives. Only God knows the true story, because I was not here. Meanwhile, the municipal chief executive of Prestia Huni Valley, Isaac Dasmani, says there are plans to reconstruct the community that was devastated by the explosion.
Today, CEO of also Ghana Gas also came today and then offered a check of our 2 million Ghana cedis to us. We are planning for a MUSEC meeting, hopefully tomorrow, Monday, that we inaugurate a committee of members of our 11 or 12. So that we'll be foreseeing the disbursement of some of the relief items and then how we are going to cater for the displaced in the course of the year. So. For now, we are proposing some clergy, some pastors, about 5 people from the community, including 2 females, and then my good self, and then some other security agencies that we feel is appropriate, so that we manage the resources that we are getting, and at the end of the day, to the benefit of the people of APEATSE. Then when it comes to the reconstruction, a lot of companies have come in, and then State Housing has been here, some other agencies have been here, and people go, Ghana Chamber of Mines, they've also offered building materials of $50,000. So all these materials are in here, And then some people, you can see that some people are even bringing some containers that we can keep some of the items in. Yes, and then we have some people who have also started donating some boards, the wood that we can also use for reconstruction and all of that. So the support has been massive. Now we are only waiting for EPA to clear us that the place is appropriate for us to start, rebuilding. So if as soon as they give us the green light, we'll get those out to clear off the site and remove all the debris, and then we'll deposit them somewhere. Then probably we'll start thinking about, we know now the time is going to be properly planned. We may need an extension. So we are thinking about some other areas that very close that we can, extend the building to some of the place. Because of course, when you are building, you can't build like the way they have built their houses. We need to make sure that we do proper planning and then so that they can have a good facility to stay in.
So that's the account from APEATSE in the Western region. But here in Accra, Benjamin Aye, the leader of the three-member committee today, presented their findings to the sector minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor. The committee explained the approach adopted on their fact-finding mission, but no public disclosure was made on the recommendations contained in this document.
Following the incident, as we've been told, the Minerals Commission rightfully did the initial investigation and submitted a preliminary report to the Honorable Minister. But given the national importance and interest in the incident, the Honorable Minister decided to set up our committee to independently investigate the occurrence, to corroborate, verify, or otherwise establish what led to the happenings at APEATSE, and to enable us forge the way forward on a solid basis. I must say that the committee was to submit our report on Thursday, the 27th of January, as directed by the minister. We've taken a bit more time than was required of us because we wanted to do a good job. We have dispassionately looked at the facts that were presented to us, which we were able to unearth, and objectively we have put together the facts to the extent we could establish them. And on the basis of these, we have presented our findings, and then some recommendations were made. We were able to, over the period, visit the relevant stakeholders. We were able to talk to witnesses to the various incidents, and through the interviews and our observations, we've come up with this report we are going to present this morning. I just need to highlight that we're able to visit the relevant police stations, talk to the commanders, looked at the log records, talked to the police escort assigned for the assignment. We're able to visit Maxam at Iduaprim, talk to the dispatchers and the management as well. We had interviews with the transporter, the explosives driver, the escort driver, the management of Maxam, and also the transporter. We talked to a number of eyewitnesses in the community itself, starting from the chief through a number of others who even helped to convey the injured and so on to the hospitals. And at the end of it all, we have come up with this report, which we believe fairly represents the facts of the case. However, let me emphasize that we will not preempt what the minister will decide to do with our.
Meanwhile, government is giving assurances that no one found culpable of breaching the mining regulations will be spared. I caught up with the Deputy Land and Natural Resources Minister, George Mrekuduka, on the way forward.
Yes, so the report has just been delivered to the minister, and the minister is going to go through understand the findings and the recommendations and implement the recommendations where applicable.
There are concerns that the report should be made public so that the public will know what the content of the fact-finding mission was. What's the reaction of government to that?
Why? At the appropriate time, I believe the minister will make it public. He just received it. He has to also peruse and invites whoever he deems fit to advise, and then we can take it from there. But I can't preempt any other measures. Minister has to take into consideration, the predicaments of the people, and he has them at heart, and he's been talking about that, and he wants a serene kind of mining environment, and he wouldn't leave any stone unturned. I believe you go to the extent of making sure that the truth is on earth. So it's not a matter of just going to leave it ajar. I believe he's going to tighten all knots and make sure whoever, and we are not a security agency, so we leave the criminal aspect for the security agencies to do their own investigations and so on. Ours is to ensure that we have a very formidable mining industry, and that is all that, and especially with regards to the transportation of explosives going forward. How do we take care of that? Are we going to separate oil from ammonium nitrate kind of arrangement? How is a truck carrying explosives to be transported? How to be escorted? I mean, how are we going to also take care of that? It's very important that we look at whether or not we have vehicles or a vehicle following and a vehicle being in front, a flag being hoisted, and so on and so forth. These are the ramifications we need to look at, and I believe we'll look at the whole thing holistically.
And the minister was clear that he was going to exact sanctions to companies that may or any other state agency that may be found culpable in all of this. Is that to suggest that probably the committee has found some form of neglect or negligence of duty or some other similar act on which your powers permit you to act? Are we going to see that?
I have not cited a copy of the report. The minister just received, and as a deputy minister, I am to assist the minister. So if the minister, and I know the minister, my minister will get me briefed, and if anybody is found culpable, why not? We allow the law to roll. So it's not a matter of just...
so you won't spare anybody, you won't shield anyone?
Not at all. Whoever is found culpable will be dealt with by the law.
Because the concerns of the chiefs, and I'm sure that you are quite familiar with the area, the chiefs have raised concerns that some security breaches happened and that there was no escort, for instance, and so the security officials on duty should be punished. I guess that's on the back of the reasons for which the community is asking that the ministry should act in accordance with the law. What are you going to do with regard to that aspect? The fact that you have a mining regulation which is not being adhered to.
The ministry is doing its bits with regards to investigating how the explosion happened. The security agencies are also embarking on a similar venture, and I believe they will deal with what they are doing and with their part, which of course I may not have the experience to even share, the innuendos of it. But I can confidently tell you that I was even there when the chief said so.
Right.
And we'll go all out to come up with the truth. We have nothing to hide as a ministry, and we wouldn't shield or protect any company who is found culpable by law. So we not to speculate.
Have they? But I'm sorry for cutting in. But have they provided you with some evidence for reasons why they believe the security protocols were not followed? The chiefs in the area.
No.
After the announcement, because you engaged them ahead of the conclusion of the findings. The minister was there as well.
I think the committee was also there. The committee was there when the chief said so. So the committee, and I believe some of these things may be captured in their report, and there's appropriate sanctions if indeed that is the truth. Because you are not there, I wasn't there, and we may not be able to tell the truth unless we do our investigations as reported or as submitted to the minister. So it's something that everybody, I'm worried because it happened traditionally in my jurisdiction as a fiancé person, I'm worried.
Right.
We'll make sure the truth is said.
Right. Right, and we have two issues to deal with. First, the issue of compensation. Obviously, that will be your greatest concern, having known that you are, of course, that's your traditional home, so you're concerned about your people. What measures are you putting in place? We know there's already a committee, but what more are you doing to ensure that the people are catered for? Already there are complaints that people want to take advantage of the fact that government is promising that you would rebuild the place for them. People are even laying claims to properties that are not theirs. I'm sure all of these concerns have come to you. So how are you going to sanitize that process?
You know that the committee will come up with the solution. Minister, probably by Thursday, will set up a reconstruction committee.
On Thursday?
On Thursday. APEATSE Reconstruction Committee, of which he even said during the presentation of the report. So the committee will deal with all that. We see those things in the mining area,
right,
where a mining company wants to resettle a community. You see some of these speculators who will come around, and say, yes, here is mine, this is mine, and so on and so forth. But they have a way of dealing with that. So we'll deal with all that when the committee is set up. So we should calm down. Things are being worked on, and we believe at the appropriate time, Ghanaians will know the details of the report.
And finally, sanitizing the mining sector. There are concerns that we've overlooked a number of breaches. In fact, Maxam, for instance, was warned by the Interior Ministry some time ago of not adhering to some protocols regarding explosives. These are matters that are reports that we're getting from bits and different sources. What are you going to do as a ministry to sanitize the mining industry, and also to a very large extent issues dealing with explosives? The Railway Ministry has told us that you're considering an alternative where the explosives would have to be carted by railway. What reforms beyond these measures are you putting in place to ensure we don't have this incident happen again?
We're waiting for the committee's recommendations to be implemented by the ministry once we've received some of these measures.
But you're almost always pushing the issues to the committee. How about the ministry itself? I'm sure that you're very concerned.
As for the ministry, we have been retooling
right,
the Inspector Division of the Minerals Commission. We've been going around making sure that we close all knobs and all gaps, and all dots are connected, and so on and so forth. We've been doing our bits with regards to that. And I believe we have a very comprehensive minerals and mining regulations, LI 2177.
Yes, 77.
So we have a very robust regulations. But, time gives, and technology gives some sort of room for some of these regulations to be upgraded. And why not? Very soon, Minister may, out of the recommendations made in the report, constitute a comprehensive kind of arrangement to do a thorough research on how to have a composite regulation that will encompass all views. So it is not something that we just taken it lightly. Secondly, I want to also put it on record that the ministry has been dealing with these mining companies with all the rules available. And for that matter, the regulation also empowers the Chief Inspector of Mines to be inspecting and making sure that they comply with the rules and regulations of the mining industry. So it's not something we take it lightly at all. And let me reassure you that we will take into consideration the recommendations of the report when Minister reads it comprehensively.
All right. Honorable, we are wrapping up. Your people back home are listening to you. What's your message to them in these trying times?
My people back home, I would speak Wasa. So
in the area, yes.
So yes, were there, we've been there, I visit them. I was there this weekend, and I'm reassuring them that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, has APEATSE at heart. He is determined and will remain resolute, making sure that their grievances are addressed.